Hi, I'm the cryptolifer. If you didn't know, this is Crypto Love. He's here with me today. He is the godfather of crypto in my humble. For me, I first started watching him back in 2017, early bird style, I think around April or May of that year. And he changed my life. He introduced me to Cardano, where I would then research Charles Hoskinson's, always get the name wrong. And I would get in at 2 cents. And I'm not saying you can say, every man makes their own buy or sell, but he led me to the water. I can't say he wasn't the first person to, it was his voice, it was his tone, and it was his knowledge. And so without further ado, I want to have Crypto Love on today again and just kind of vibe with him. He also gave me my first big shot, and I'm not afraid to say it. He threw me on his channel when I was just a little pea, and I still am. But I just love being a part of the family, and I always just feel so honorable hanging out with Crypto Love. What's up, man? How you been?
Dude, I've been great. I'm excited for this episode we're doing together. Hopefully we can provide some value for some people, maybe some clarity in the markets, help figure out what's going on. And then yeah, have a good time.
Awesome. I wanted to show you something. I figured I'd get you going. I figured I'd show you a few charts that would get you cooking. I've been on this. I feel there's an 80% chance that we bottom. Now, I don't like to call bottoms or tops. Exactly. I did call the last top based on bearish divergence. It was, I've been studying it for, years by then. And when I saw it, I was like, man, not the top at the first top of the, I'll show you what I'm saying, but let's share my screen for a split second, if we may. And right here, I called this top. This top was pretty simple to me because it was bearish divergence. And like when you get divergence that big on a weekly chart, like to me, there was some obviousness. I also teach that whenever you leave the 21-day moving average on almost any time frame, you're going to come back to it. And if you gap that far away from the 21, anyway, right here, I have something cool and interesting. All right. I have what's called the 800-day moving average. All right. So I want to show you this, the 800 MA. Now it's this big chubby fat. I made it a big chubby white line for a reason. Okay. Because you want to see it, So if we go back in time to when we first had the 800-day that can really come onto the channel, we see it back here, right? Now I'm going all the way back to 2015, okay? January. And you can see that when we finally bottomed here with the capitulation wick, it happened like on or near the day of the 800 passing the 50. Now we would then pass the 100. And by the time we passed through the 200, that was generally, you were kind of filtering out of the bottom. Now, of course, we have this massive dump again, which would have a capitulation wick, but it technically says that like that is a bottom, right? Like you're not going to go lower than that area. Everyone always thinks too, when you call a bottom, that it doesn't mean 5 months later, we couldn't be at the same place. Yeah, it's kind of bear markets can drag out. Just because we say a bottom doesn't mean, but it does mean we believe that this is the beginnings of where we may never go lower again. Whether we may revisit slightly near that area again in the next 6 or 7 months is possible. But so this is just one thing I want to show. That's right off the bat, right? And then we keep moving. This is also shown to me by an Army analyst, a guy who does like intelligence. He's an Army intelligence, and this is all he does is analyze. So I have people that come to me and send me charts that they've been working on for hours. Listen, look at this, Lifer. I know you love this stuff. We sat together and he blew my mind, So 800 day. Again, passing the 50, again, a day or, 3 days after the capitulation, of the very low area to the bottom. And again, by the time we cross the 200, we've had a higher low, and we're making our way out of the trough, right? Of course, we have the pandemics, Black Swan, but again, still didn't make a lower low regardless, okay? We move forward to where we are today. And again, like, you look excited. You like this.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I mean, the 800 has crossed the 50 again. Capitulation wick a few days after, like they look identical. You cross through the 50, the 100, and here you are again at the 200. You're kind of making a higher low. You're on your way out of the bottom. Now, who knows, right? We can't, there's no guarantees, but to me, I get goosebumps when I look at this, and I get a little, so then I'm like, all right. Then I slap on the Gaussian channel, all right? And this just, I slap on the Gaussian channel for this because this was weird to me because I wanted to see if I saw a Sorry. If I saw any right here by DW, just the regular Gaussian, you don't have to go do anything nuts. And I go to the 8-day. All right. And I love these little time frames that most people just overlook. That's kind of where the bread and butter is for me personally. And I go all the way back again to my same area where the 800 passed, you know, and I've put that 800 on, I have it off, but you see that would be your exact line. And when the green turns red, capitulation, we turn into, that's when we basically bottom, right? So same area there telling us the exact same thing. We go back here, same exact thing, right? When the green turns to red, we have our bottom. And again, when we go all the way here, the same exact thing when the green turns to red, and eerily similar as calling a bottom as well. Now, we don't even have to decide. What people don't realize is you don't even have to find bottoms. All you have to do is look for general areas where you know you're buying a bargain. To me, 8K, 19K is a bargain. Like, we're going to 300,000, possibly $500,000. I believe in the next 6 to 7 years at the least, maybe even more than that if they keep printing the money. So this is a steal right here, in my humble opinion. I've been loading up, right? I've been always like, oh, maybe we'll go to 10K, but I've been loading up. One last thing, if this is not enough, right? If this is not enough, I then go to my ye old favorite indicator that called the top for Bitcoin, and I put it out and said this would be the top. I didn't listen on the first top, which I should have, but my video did say we should sell the top here. And the pi cycle did end up calling the top. So if we go to the pi cycle indicator, right? Last thing I want to show. Where are we here? Life for pi cycle. Where are you? Right here. An old man from Portugal built this chart with me like 4 years ago or 3 years ago. And so I remember back in the day here, I was talking about whenever these red line and the green line cross that we would have our top. We were right here and I made a video about it. I'll put it in the description of this video. And it's saying like when these cross, we will top, and we should consider buying, selling out there. Now we came back down. I found a 618. I ended up getting in here and we came back up, and then we found the divergence, the bearish divergence. However, what I think happened, and you could talk about this too, is did they print so much money? Was this really the top? In my mind, I believe this was the top, and we were supposed to just kind of make a one of those little 40% relief rallies, but they printed so much money because of the pandemic. They tried to cover their own butts. You know, they were doing whatever they could do to kind of stop us from like going into major depression, recession. And all that money flowed into the stock market, which became fun money, right? Because everyone, oh, and there was real estate, and all the rich made so much money. There was more houses getting built all around Massachusetts in the last 3 years. I saw mansions going up everywhere. So for a recession, the rich were making money. I saw 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom homes. I still see them all the time. They're only a few years old. They're all around Massachusetts. So they were making money. Anyone who had money was making more money. And I believe this was just a printout of money, and we dumped down in here. You know what I'm saying? Like, so really, to me, the bear market, I believe, starts here. So we're already like 18 months in, which also corroborates the story. And the last thing I just want to talk about, because I just want to give you everything that I've been looking at, and before we like just dive deep, is the pi cycle bottom, right? So I'm looking at the pi cycle bottom by Tondy here. And when I take off the pi cycle top indicator and I just leave the bottom, it coincides with the exact places where my 800 hit, where the Gaussian channel calls the bottoms. And this indicator has been highly accurate, and every time I didn't listen to it, I paid dearly. So I'm a little stuck in the middle between the whole world calling 10K. I seem to be like one of the few people who feels that there's a strong feeling that there could be a bottom coming here. At the same time, I know better, and I've been beat by saying, oh, it has to be in any shape, any place in trading. So I'm waiting. I have money waiting for 10K. I do, whether that be the greatest move or not, but I am still buying like we've hit the bottom. So you're an older man than me. You've been through this before. What do you think of all this information? Do you have anything to corroborate? And yeah, I just love to know what you think.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. A lot of charts look really great right now. But what everybody calling the bottom says, or at least what I hear them saying, is, yeah, but we have recession, we have pandemic, we have war, we have quantitative tightening, we have bear markets, and all these reasons for the price to go lower. And yes, we do. But I also think that we have the most publicized bear market and recession and quantitative tightening, and it's no surprise to anybody. So, like, while yes, all this stuff is going on, I think it's being fed down our throats so often and so much that it's no surprise to anybody, and it's already priced in. So right now, we see a lot of people right now with what's happening with the financial markets. It reminds me very, very much of what was happening during COVID, when we were waiting for the government to say, okay, it's okay for you to go out of your house now. It's like right now we're doing the same thing with the Fed and the CPI numbers, waiting for them to be like, okay, it's okay for you to invest in assets again. It's like, it feels like almost the same thing, where we're waiting on the government to tell us something, and quite honestly, they have no idea. So it's a risky thing to try and predict the bottom, and nobody can do that. I was laughing a little bit when you were talking about the double top we had in 2021 and 2021, where the second one was actually due to the money printing, and how that was the highest high. Because actually, I've looked at some charts on Bitcoin compared with M1 money, and actually the high was in 2017. We've never even come back to that high, or maybe it was M2 money. I can't remember which one, but we've never even hit those numbers because they've printed so much money. And even though Bitcoin prices, has gone over 3x where it was back in 2017, guess what? They've printed a lot more money than that. So there's a whole bunch of things going on, and I think a lot of it comes down to time frame. Like, people who are trying to make money now, I don't really have good advice for you, because I don't know where the market's going to go in the short term. But people who have more of a longer time frame, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever, well, there's very clear indicators that the market's going to continue going up, because I believe we live in an infinite universe. And if you provide value, guess what? Things are created, and businesses make more money. That's simple as that. So in terms of a short term, though, whether it's going to stay here at 20,000 or whether it's going to drop to 10,000, it's a coin flip. Nobody knows.
It's funny you said that. You taught me a lot of that. You go to work and you're waiting for that paycheck, and you think you have to get involved in something that's already there to get value. But you taught me that you could literally create value from a piece of paper in your house. You can then write that down, turn that into a video, turn that into a YouTube channel. And 5 years from there, you could be a multimillionaire producing value for the world, right? And it can all start from within, from just inside of you. You taught me that, Crypto Love. You taught me that, man. You do a lot by showing up every day and just by being consistent. People say the same to me. Say, no one can be perfect at TA, but when you show up every single day, you inspire other people to do that for themselves. A lot of people are like, oh, I can't do it. I want to do it. And when they wake up every day and they see any YouTuber grinding, like, I don't know the last time you took a day off. We went over the other day. I think you had
2 years ago.
Yeah, it was something. You bang out your video.
Actually, I did have a few days off when they shut down my channel back in May. So
yeah. That was but you still were tweeting.
But I was more stressed than anything else, so it wasn't like a vacation.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've had my channel also got zapped once. I luckily didn't have. I went like 12 hours the next morning by 3 a.m. It was. But man, every time I see that, I saw you. Anytime I see that, I hyperventilate, and when I saw you, it gives me post-traumatic stress. It really does. People, your whole life disappearing. It's crazy,
Mm-hmm.
Now, you also had some other indicators, and you have like 180. Someone was telling me you had like two really strange moving averages that like no one had ever talked about. Like the 876 day or something. I don't know which.
Yeah, there's some crazy ones. So there's a few guys on Twitter who I like to follow, because they find these absolutely amazing charts, and I'm sure I won't remember all of them right now, but there's like so there's Plan C. He has some good stuff on there. There's Trader Tardigrade. He has some good stuff on there. There's Mustache. There's Tech Dev. So there's a bunch of guys who just pump out insane content on a regular basis, and just looking at their charts, because there's so many charts it's literally like jaw dropping. The number of charts that suggest we've bottomed, and this is literally the best buying opportunity that you're going to get. But then there's one or two charts that say it's not. We're not all the way at the bottom. We're not the absolute worst case scenario we've ever been at. But like, if you look at the Bitcoin rainbow price chart right now, it's almost off the chart. It's like basically a fire sale. That's where we are right now. And that's one of the simplest ways to look at things. But another thing that I noticed was I was talking with somebody and he was very, very adamant that Bitcoin price was going down to $13,000 because he watches a YouTuber's channel. He has these really nice logarithmic trend lines, and the bottom is $13,000. He's 100% sold it's going down to $13,000. Okay, so he's not buying anything now. He doesn't actually know that I'm a YouTuber. I was just talking with him about Bitcoin. He was teaching me about Bitcoin. I like to do that with people, so people who don't know that I know anything about it, I just let them educate me.
What is
and
that?
So he was like telling me about how he's like, I'm not buying anything now. Do not buy anything now. It's 100% in the next couple of months going down to $13,000. And I was like, that's really interesting. And he's like literally the next words out of his mouth was, I didn't sell the top because I thought it was going up to $800,000. And it's like, but it's like, okay, so you see the rationale there. Like, if you thought it was going to go all the way up to the top of the trend lines and it didn't go up there, why would it go all the way down to the bottom? And it may. I mean, I may be putting my foot in my mouth in another couple of months. Because one thing that I did notice is if you take the 2017 bar pattern from the top until the bottom, you lay that over from the top we had in November, in the next month is when there was the giant 50% price drop. So that's coming up in a month. So, I may be eating my words, but there's like it just doesn't work logically.
But we may get a relief rally to 34K, and then we may do the 50% price drop to 17.8 again. And then, yeah. My problem is this. I have this undying competitive nature. I'm Aries. They say, Aries, we just, to us, there's competition. Like, even when I started YouTube, I was a rapper for years. So I thought you had to shred every technical analysis up. Like, it was rapping like a rap battle. And like, I've stepped back now, you know what I mean? I realize it's just like, but to me, it's like, I spend 10 hours a day. What do you do? Like, I'm shredding you, And I always believe like there's this dying want in my head that says you can catch the bottom, Sam. Like, you can. And maybe I shouldn't do that, but it's like, because there is a bottom. Like, at one point, like, there is a bottom, and it actually does occur. I would love to see this pi cycle nail it again.
Dude, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's nailed every top. It's nailed every bottom. Why wouldn't it be right this time?
Every time I've done, see, this is the thing. I used to think you can't find the bottom or the top. And because I did that, I missed the top when I had an indicator that told me where the freaking top was. So now I'm like, you know what? Let me just try a new one. Like, let me go all in now and suffer a 50% loss at 9 or 8K. You know what I mean? Like, let me just look at myself back here. Because I did go all in. I left, like, if I'm not going to say exactly what I did, but let's just say you gave me 200 grand. I already put 150 in, and I'm only keeping 50 down for 10K. See what I'm saying? So like, and I've stated that blatantly. Like, that's the cool thing about me. I don't mind being wrong. I don't mind saying, hey, because I know 7 years from now, I'll still look right. They'll still be like, well, that was the guy that went all in at 20K, like, so like, you know what I mean? Like, it'll still benefit me in the end.
And all those people will be saying, well, if I knew it was going to go up to 2 million, of course I would have bought it at 20K.
That's the thing too. You have to trust history and like, I shouldn't say trust the science. It's been so abused, but like, you have to trust history. You taught me that too. Whenever I make a big decision when it comes to investing, I look back on what this is, like, everyone thinks that Bitcoin is a risky investment. That's like saying, you're watching a trapeze guy, they do the trapeze, and he's done it like 1,000 times thinking he's going to miss again. Like, Bitcoin has been banging. Like, I always tell everyone, it started the race at a penny. The dollar was 100x better than it. Then it was, 2 pennies, 10 pennies. And then eventually it matched the race, and they were both a bean. They're both $1. Then Bitcoin was 2, then 3. Like, Bitcoin has already run the race. Like, it's weird to me. It's like watching a man pick up 10,000 pounds 10 times, and then everyone comes to the gym and they're like, I don't think that guy can lift 1,000 pounds. And you're like, what do you mean? He's been lifting 10,000 pounds for the last 10 years. What are you talking about? I think they have the general population brainwashed.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Well, one thing that I really like that you do is that you actually teach people how to do TA, because that's like so important. Like everybody's trying to find the best investment. And the honest truth is like the best investment is in yourself. And so anytime that you can invest in yourself and better yourself, that's something that's unbankruptable, undivorceable, recession proof. Like you can't lose it. And so what you do with your courses and everything, where you're teaching people all this stuff, that's like the biggest investment they have. Because sure, maybe they can make a couple bad trades, but guess what? That's how everybody learns. Like literally, anytime I've talked with Bill Noble on the channel, he's like, guess what? If you lost money, you're right there with every great trader that's ever existed on the face of the planet, like in the same spot. And I've lost money. Other people have lost money. That's how we learn. But it's like, it's still oftentimes a lot cheaper than paying university for an education.
I tell everyone, if you stay in my group for a year, we give you like a discount for $1,000. And then now we're giving the course, like my beginner's course, for $60. It's 2 hours. I basically teach you divergence. I teach you things that people would space out. They'd make you do 7 sessions, right? They'd make you pay $100 a session. It would be $700 to $2,000. I've seen it all over line, like all online. And what I do is I condense it. And yes, it's a lot, but I record it for you. I then give you a PowerPoint, and then I give you homework. And I tell everyone, you now have to go through and find divergence on the 15 and the 1 hour for the next. Like you have to find bearish divergence till your hand hurts for 2 to 3 hours every other night for a month straight. Then you have to do the same to bullish. I said, if you go and start watching 100 YouTube videos and you start to put fib when you don't know what you're doing, I said, just go home and draw divergences for literally a month straight. Put 80 to 100 hours into it. Your subconscious mind will eventually start filtering in the things you need. Another thing that I realized when I got into TA is I got obsessed with a new type of information. I didn't watch as much Netflix. I didn't stay on Twitter. Like today, I've done it my whole life, but I even did a Bitcoin update this morning, already threw it up on YouTube. I was so excited to wake up at 7 a.m., throw a collar shirt on. I want to, it's changing all the time. You can always make a buck. There's opportunity everywhere. When Luna was about to dump, we called a short on a cup and handle. Somehow the cup and handle was there before Do Kwon made his whole move. And I posted to my whole group. I said, the Luna shorts in this giant cup and handle says it's going to go up like 100, 300%. I said, are the charts trying to tell us something? I'll tell you, there hasn't been an instance if you don't see it, you don't see it. But when you're on, when I mean spending 2 to 5 hours a day and you're really grinding, there hasn't been an instance where I haven't seen what was going to happen beforehand. Even this last dump we saw, Bitcoin had huge bearish divergence in the 1 hour, and then boom, the next morning, it's like, yeah, you didn't know it was going to drop for sure. But if you just played divergences every time, you'd be right, like 85 to 90%. You'd catch most of the moves. So I tell them, like you say, I tell everyone too, invest in yourself. I always thought I was going to, you always think you're going to generate all this money from outside. I keep saying that, but you generate the money from within. Somehow you educate, and then you start pulling in more value. The more value you have, the more you're worth to the market. Jim Rohn always says you only get paid what the market wants to pay you, right? So like, if you want to get paid more, then you need to have more education. Like you need to know more. No one's going to pay you more for knowing the same information that you knew the day before. I love what you said. Invest in yourself. Everyone wants to buy. You're the altcoin. Dollar cost average into yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. The more you learn, the more you earn. Simple as that. And just, you can learn anything. But it's the part that I like about it is like, nowadays it seems like the world is so uncertain. You never know what's going to happen. But guess what? You go bankrupt, you have a recession, you get divorced, all these uncertainties that could happen, you still have the things that you've learned. You're not going to lose them. So like, yeah, you can go broke a million times, but guess what? You already have all the skills you need to build it back up again. And I think that gives you some stability in terms of moving forward and getting through these trying times.
What do you say to someone who, like me and you, we've made money, we've lost money, we've made money, right? We've obviously seem to be living okay. We get to do our YouTube channel, right? You don't seem to be working for someone. I'm not working for someone else. I don't know, but it's, you're my hero. You made me realize that if I didn't discipline myself and go after what I loved, that I wasn't going to live my dreams. But you did it in a quiet, subtle way. You know what I mean? You were just like, hey, I'm Randy Crypto Love. I'm make some jokes. I'll make you laugh, and I'm going to give you 6 to 10 minutes of Bitcoin, and I'm going to kind of continuously add to the space in a positive manner, right? And you weren't like, I'm kind of more like, get out there, you're freaking on. Like I'm like a motivator. Sometimes I can just, I feel like I'm Tony Robbins screaming at the mic. But it just kind of, I wake up in the morning just freaking floored some days, and I got to get the energy out. But you did it in such an amazing way. That's why I love, I want just people to realize maybe it's not crypto, maybe it's scuba diving, maybe who knows what it is. Maybe crypto is your way to get to your next thing. You get enough of a nest egg, you can then quit your job and then go after it. And I always say too, write down your goals and your dreams. What do you want to do with your life? Because the universe will respond, but if you don't know, you'll be aimless. And how can the universe respond, right? Like, how could Crypto Love help me if I didn't send him an email? You got to send the universe an email. It's weird to say, but you got to project where you're going. So the kind of, the environment around you can help you. That's something I found, you start pushing forward and then things come out of nowhere. Like I sent you an email, you responded. Everyone always said, like, how do you hang out with Crypto Love? I'm like, because he's a nice dude. And I reached out to him. Like, it's not that hard to, you know what I'm saying? It's just believe in yourself and have a dream, and maybe the universe will respond to your dream.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And it's always just, you just got to try, because what's the alternative,
Well, I said, life is hard if you're broke. Life is hard going to work. Life is hard getting up at 7 a.m. cleaning toilets. Life's hard being a multimillionaire. Life's hard running a YouTube channel. Life's hard trading your butt off every single day and going up and down. Like, it's going to be hard. So why don't you just make it hard in what you love to do? Because it's going to be hard. No matter what you do, it's going to be hard. It's not, so you might as well just go for it. One thing I want to talk about is everyone's getting vexed now about finding the next 100X. It's funny. I actually just looked at a tweet and they said, what does Phantom, Solana, blah, 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 like 8 of the top coins have in common? And they were all found about a year and 12 months before the bull market really began, and he said, we're not even at the cycle yet where the next 100Xs are going to be found. You have 100X in your life. If I could be wrong, but I believe you 100X Matic, maybe a few other coins, Celsius. I think from what I've seen, you got in really early. But tell everyone thinks it's a 2-month. Everyone thinks you jump in, you 100X. Let's talk about the average time it takes to 100X. Let's talk about patience, and let's just kind of break down the reality of the 100X a little bit.
Yeah, I did a video on that. I did a video on that during the bull market, because there were 4 coins that I had 100X'd on. There was Cardano, Celsius, Matic, and also
what a legend.
VR.
What a legend. What a legend, man. He's and 400X,
But here's the thing. Not a single one of them did I go all in on. All of them I wish I would have bought more of at the time. The one that I bought the most of was Matic, because Ian Bellina from Token Metrics told me, he said, if you want to make good money, you got to be willing to, put up a good amount of money in the beginning. So that one I actually had a decent investment in. But the rest of them, I wish I had a lot more in them. I didn't. It was usually between like $1,000 and $10,000 initially. And also all of them I didn't cash out when they 100X'd. Because when it's 100X, you're like, it's going to the moon, of course. This is just the beginning. And also, a lot of them they're lost on Celsius now. So, good for that. But I did a video about it back then. And the main thing is that on average, I held those coins for almost 2 years before they 100X'd. So like this idea that you're going to have an overnight 100X is just absurd. These were like Seek was one that I had in a wallet for, I think, like 4 years and some before it 100X'd. It was just something that I bought.
You got into Seek VR.
Yeah, Seek VR. Like I got into that a long time ago, and it was just sitting in a wallet, like forgotten about. I was like, this thing's done. And then there was the whole meta thing, and it exploded. But I had it for 4 years. And, I think the shortest one was probably Matic. But the reason that one was so short was because I know Ian Bellina. Like in 2017, he picked out the best of the best coins. And then he created Token Metrics, which uses artificial intelligence and machine learning to pick out the best of the best coins. And this was their #1 pick going into 2020, 2021. So I'm like,
and you give people the stuff. You go over it every week too. It's like, you're nice enough to actually share it with the public. You know, I'm sure you may have shared that video with me. I'd have to go back through the Rolodex.
Oh yeah, I made a bunch of videos about it back. I was talking about how it's going to be the layer 2 scaling solution for Ethereum. Like, but it was also like, what if this becomes the layer 2 scaling solution for Ethereum? But then it happened. So, yeah. But you never know. You never know going in. You never know what coins. And if you try and go all in on something, that's like the quickest way to failure, because you're going to go all in on something and then lose your passion about that one, and then have the next shiny gem and go all in on that one, and then all in on that one. And you basically just buy them when they're popular and then sell them when they're down. And that's a quick way to just lose all your money.
Funny, I put like I put like $2 to $5 grand in things I really like. And Phantom, I put like $5,800, 18, and I DCA'd between 18 and 25 cents. So went to 350. You make it, it's like you've made, you don't have to put tons of money. And again, what I've been learning to do, and it's from your philosophy and just the people around me that have been successful, is to learn that the reason I'm becoming successful and staying successful is because of my mind. And like you said, like investing in myself, and honestly, investing in my mental state, staying away from things that I know are going to be detrimental to me. I don't drink alcohol at all anymore, not even a sip. I was at a little, couples party last night. Everyone's whining and I'm just sipping on my water, just, whatever, just knowing that I had my show. We had to leave early and I did my show at 8 p.m. 4 or 5 years ago, I would have went to that dinner party and had a few glasses of wine and I didn't have any real direction. Crypto gave me a direction. You gave me a direction. It's so awesome. I hate to but it's, man, I keep thinking, where would I be if I didn't click on that YouTube algorithm button that day? If I didn't watch your channel, Altcoin Daily's channel, even BitBoy, when he first came out with his back, I just can't remember. I just still remember him with the backwards hat and like this big shirt. Like, I just can't, I love it. Like when I see the multi-million-dollar his studio now and the growth. And another thing, when I started my channel, BitBoy's channel was, I think he might've had like 50,000 subscribers. I don't know exactly, but it was September of 2019. You were definitely huge. Like, you were on my radar, but and then he gets a show and then he gives me the opportunity. And you're like, well, it's like, if you didn't put your paddle in the water, you never would have been in the race. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But because you at least built a boat, pushed the boat in, and you just start paddling. And at first everyone's way ahead of you, but you're like, you know what, I'm just gonna. And then, man, the whole point is you don't know what opportunities are. Like, when you first start something, the opportunities aren't even there, right? But watch the space grow. Like, who knows? Some other YouTuber might be big. It might be a bigger show. We don't even know what's going to happen in the next 4 or 5 years. You might be in a movie. Like, there could be a documentary. I was already
on HBO. They did some show called The Anarchist, episode 2. I was on HBO.
Yeah, like he travels the world and yeah. So man, so 100xing isn't overnight. So key takeaways from what we're going over today. You never know where the bottom is, but we do see some indicators that are pushing that we could be close. We're definitely closer to the bottom than the top. That's something I think we can both agree on, right? I mean, right? So, and if you have a long, the people that make the most money have a long scale and have a bigger scope of time. I was saying something to my group the other day. I said, I really want to be a billionaire. I'm sorry to be rude, it could be, but I made up the mind. I could become a billionaire, saying like, you can do it. And I said, it's easier to do things that other people don't believe in. Like, less people want to be a billionaire, right? So there's less competition up there. So it's probably easier to become a billionaire than a millionaire. It's crazy if you think about it, even though it's because there's less people that even think it's possible. So you have less competition up there. So if you already think you're going to be a billionaire, maybe the chances are better already off the bat, because how many people are saying that? Number two, the idea behind this is never tell yourself no. I listened to Dan Pena, and he said he's worth like, I think 2 or 3 billion. And he was like, what's my worst regret? He's like, I said I wanted to make $1 billion. He's like, what was that? He's like, I sell myself too short. He's like, why didn't I say 10? And he says, the mind starts to react to the goal you set. So if you say I'm going to be worth 100 million, when you get to 90, 80, you're going to slow down. You're going to be like, oh, I'm there. And you're going to, he said, never let yourself slow down. Never, ever, ever, ever say there's no limit, because why? you know? Like the other day, I was like, I make a bill. I was like, but Elon Musk made 250. I was like, then a bill's kind of whack. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just, and just to see what we could do. Are we going to go to another planet? Could we create hydro cell cars and boats? Why curtail ourselves? You know what I mean? If you can get where you are, if I can get where I'm from, then like anyone can do anything with their life. And we could just, this whole, oh man, it just inspires me where I'm going to end up, where you're going to end up.
You never know.
Some of this is off top, like maybe off the record, just I'm just going off because I love you. But dude, I was depressed, man, for years, Crypto Love. And I didn't think good things were going to, like, I had this inkling that said, Sam, great things are going to happen. You have a destiny, like my long-term scale, but it was hidden. It was like this little like gem dark underneath the dirt. And then my present self was just like, but it's not happening. Like, but it's not happening. And I kept like, finally I was like, you're going to be a regular dude. Like you're going to be an electrician. Like you're never going to make millions. You're not going to travel the world. Like you're not going to influence anybody. You're going to live your life. And I got so depressed. And I was like, no, man, there's got to be. And now that voice comes up again and it's like, you're going to become a loser. You're not going to make it. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I live stream every day. I said, I kicked that voice in the face, and now that voice really, every time it tries to tell me I'm a loser, I'm not going to do anything. I'm like, no, that's not true, man. That's not true.
Yeah. You're planting the seeds now. It's a cycle of nature. I mean, simple as that. You just plant the seeds. The universe provides the rain and the sun. You just plant the seeds. Making a video every day, you're planting the seeds. It's all going to come. And I think it's like a lot of people want success so early on right now. Like until Bill Gates, he was the first. I'm pretty sure he was the first millionaire younger than 40, and that was only, I don't know, like 50 years ago or something like that. Up until then, no millionaires were younger than 40. But then after him, we got Zuck, we got the Kardashians, all this stuff. So everybody thinks if you're not a billionaire by the time you're 20, you failed in life. And it's just like totally not true. Because time and time again, they've shown that you don't even hit your stride in life until you're 40. Like that's something that nobody talks about. But Think and Grow Rich talks about how most people 40 to 65 is the most productive years of your life. So if you're not even there yet, don't worry about it. No stress.
Dude, you just like, you have no idea what this does, because people like me, we get these mental blocks. And literally, as you spoke, I felt like an opening in my brain, dude. I don't know if this happened to anyone else who heard this, but as you spoke, my brain went, you've been looking at it wrong the whole time. You've been fighting a uphill battle that never existed, Sam. Like, you've been beating yourself up for not being a millionaire since you were 29 years old, but you hadn't even, like, you had no stride. Like, there was no sense. There was no, like this is all new to the world, like, man, that's cool.
Yeah.
That is really interesting.
And they take a look at top performers.
Yeah,
and
tell us more. I want to hear more.
Yeah,
you talk more.
Yeah, so these top performers aren't people who are like grind, hustle. Ugh. I mean, a few of them on social media are, yes, because it sells amazingly. But the data shows that the top performers actually strive satisfied. Yes, they work extremely hard, harder than most other people, but they're also satisfied at the same time doing it. They enjoy what they're doing. They're passionate about what they do. They find joy in it. They're excited. They find the flow so that they can just continue doing it. And I think like at least for me, I can't speak for other people, but for me, like one of the hardest things for me is just comparisons. Because like, for instance, I'll be doing really great. And then I'll go to the gym and some dude in the locker room has a 6-pack. And all of a sudden my day for 5 minutes or 10 minutes is ruined because he has a 6-pack and I don't. And so like my day was totally cool until there was that comparison. And a lot of times we do that with other people with money or possessions or whatever. But I really got a lot from Will Smith's biography, written by Mark Manson, because Will Smith, he was talking about how when he was young, he thought money was the answer to everything. And then the money started rolling in. He got so much money. And he's like, guess what? At that point, I realized that the money wasn't the problem. It was me. And I think that's something that everybody needs to experience, is that we think initially, because a little bit more money does help initially, but then we think we need more and more and more and more and more until we get all the money we want. And then we're like, uh-oh, my life still sucks. What's going on? So it's like looking at our own problems. And
No, it's funny.
there's a saying that I like, last thing. There's a saying that I like that if you realize you have enough, you're truly rich. That's all.
Profound. It echoes through the mind, you know. It's funny you said this, because as you were talking about, you know, right before this, comparison was coming up in my mind. My two good friends, my best, you know, I shared a college room with a friend in college. So like, you know, we were like the closest buddies. We were like brothers. He became the president and his buddy became the CEO, and they sold the company for like $225 million. You know, I won't say their names, you know, just out of, but, and they, so I'm sitting there, you know, we're 7 years out of college. I'm 29, 30, and my two buddies have just closed a deal for damn near $250 million. They buy penthouses. They fly me, you know, I get to fly to the Hamptons in helicopters. I have dinners in New York City like you wouldn't believe, that I would have no business being at, you know, $100 steak dinners. Just, they treated me great. They were great friends. They're still great friends of mine. Honestly, I was always trying to prove to them I could become a millionaire. Like there was this, like, I can do it too. Like, you guys won't be the only millionaires and I would always, and I think there was this, at beginning, it was a comparison. Towards the end, it was just, I wanted to be in the club. You know what I mean? I wanted to show them that because they could take Fridays off and take their families to the Hamptons. Like, they could just do, and I'd be at work again, like watching them just like, and now, you know, it's fun. Now I can text them, like, I can go golf whenever I want. I have this freedom that they have now. And honestly, I have even more now, because now, like, they have to go to corporate meetings. Like, they have to, now I'm just this free YouTuber. I can go wherever I want. And the income is limitless in YouTube. Like, you can take it as far as you want. You can make more shows. We can turn our channels into networks. I want to start adding a Wednesday show called the Lifer Cipher, which I'd love to have you on. We're going to start bringing all the different people in. We're going to do something. We're going to bring the community together. I have so many plans and goals for the channel. Yeah. So you compare, and it can beat you up and eat you up. For me, it was horrible. I'm living in a 1-bedroom apartment. But what I did do was, I didn't spend money on Louis Vuitton jackets, and I didn't try to show my buddies up, because they looked at me and they said, you know, you got to grind. Like, you got to grind, man. They just, you know, and a bunch of times I thought they were going to give me money because they had all this money. I was like, oh, they're just going to write a check for $300,000 and help me start my YouTube channel, help me start a production company. And you know what? Every time I was about to get the money, we were about to sign the checks, like something would happen. Someone gets sick and I say it was God telling me, I'm not giving you a dime. You're going to make it. And I would say to my wife, after tons of business deals blew up in my face and certain things didn't work out, I said, God is telling me that I'm not going to make this with any business partner. No one's going to save me. My dad's not going to come swoop in and say, here's some inheritance, Sammy. Dude, I started with a crappy table, my old NNT1A mic that I bought like 5 years ago. I got a Red Scarlet for $200. My green screen was horrible. I was like in and out of it. I was going over chain link at $1.78 though. You know what I mean? So the knowledge was there. The passion, like you said, the passion was there. If you love what you do, I love talking to this man right now. He changed my life. This is content. So we're making content. We're doing what we love to do. You know, I love going over the Bitcoin charts. I love teaching someone. Last thing I want to talk about was the rush of 100Xing. I've 100X'd Cardano, and I've 100X SafeMoon, and I've 100X, I think, and I've done some 50X. I think I've only done 200Xs in my life. The rush is amazing. Making money is unreal. Honestly, once you've turned $5,000 to 100,000, I really don't think like that's there's millions, right? But like once you 20X, anywhere between a 10 and a 20X is really like, after that, it's just kind of icing on the cake. But once you've had that rush, and I've had it numerous times from crypto, it does fade. And I'll be honest, the first time I had 20 people in a class, my heart beating. Like 20 people just paid and want to hear me. And this is a real class and they're asking questions. And one-on-ones that I do, I learned that I have an adrenaline rush from teaching that I'll never get from money. And it sounds cliche and it'd be like, yeah. But I'm telling you right now, go after your passion. And I found God was like, your passion is to teach. achieve that, go after that every day. And it's almost like two ions that connect and create this like energy. Like the second you do what you love and you get this, you feel good spiritually, you feel good mentally, you feel good physically. And it's easy to continue to do it because it replenishes you and you know it's what you love. And for me, there's a connection to the higher power, a connection to what I'm doing, a connection to the people that I'm teaching. And I didn't know this was going to happen, Randy. I thought I was just starting a YouTube channel. I joined a trading group, didn't know I was going to ever tutor anybody. The head of the trading group one day, I said, hey, can I get some money? You're making like $250,000 a month. Like, could I get, he's like, hey, you could tutor people for whatever hourly rate you feel. He's like, I trust you. You're one of the best students I've ever had. And then he made me an admin in a Telegram group for 5,000 people. And they all were like, oh, that's the dude. And then my kind of career as a tutor, people didn't even know I tutored on YouTube. I was like kind of a known tutorer on Telegram, like in the underground Telegram world. And then I had my YouTube channel. And then one day I was like, I have no link to my tutoring. I was literally going on YouTube and not advertising tutoring. Like that's how ridiculous of a business plan I had, and it all fell through. And then it made me realize that this had to have been God's plan or some plan, because it was my plan, but up until an extent, the universe kind of built it, like helped me build it. So crazy, man. So if you're passionate about something, you can show up every single day. We're here on a Sunday, just so everyone knows, like no days off, like, grinding. So, yeah. And I keep going back to you. I clicked your video. Maybe I would have been here without you, but we don't know that. All I know is that I am here because I did see your channel and I did get sparked by crypto, and you introduced it see, I think that's what the key to you was. Even me, I'm more like, I sit there at the call and everyone's technical analysis. You kind of have to be a little deep to get into me, but they watch you, they see the red shirt, red's a good color, the crypto love, you make some jokes, you have a way of making it feel like it's just YouTube and then it's crypto. So someone who's also just watching YouTube you might just get pulled in, and that's important. The way you bring people in, I think it's an amazing way you do it, and it's awesome. Down to your logo and the unicorn, farting out the block. He's farting a Bitcoin. It's a rainbow fart Bitcoin. I need one of those. I got to start wearing one of those once a week. Like on my Saturday night channel or something,
yeah, right. Yeah, I think what you're saying there is really important, because I always look at it for myself. Like, there's a lot of questions that I ask myself when I write in the morning, and one of them is, what would you do if all jobs paid the same? And I think that's a really important one, because a lot of people get sidetracked by money, and money can be great, but it's also just a lot of people who are stuck in a 9-to-5 job that they hate. They want money so they can quit that job and go be on a beach or something like that. And I encourage you to make the money so that you can do that. And then after 2 or 3 weeks at that beach, you're going to be bored out of your mind and regretting every moment of it. So, but like, money can be a shortcut because it can allow you to do the things that you want to do. Because guess what? When you get all that money, you're going to have 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to fill. And how are you going to do that? So while chasing money can be a shortcut, you can also just do what you love, because that's all that the money's buying you the ability to do anyways. So if you just look at, well, what would I do if all jobs paid the same? Figure that out and then go do that. You just saved yourself a whole bunch of time chasing money.
You make me want to talk less and listen more. Man, I just want to hold on. Like, I want to, so I just know there's like a great question here for me to benefit from your years of wisdom here. What level do people, there's a number for everybody, but like they say, like once all your needs are met, I remember you saying there recently, the guy drove every car and he found out the Suburban was the best. He ate at every restaurant. You could have it all. And at one point, like, where is the limit to what you need in life, right? To like, how many of your needs need to be met for it just to be completely ridiculous? Wow, man, I know another guy, he said, if I would give you $10 million not to wake up in the morning, would you do it? And the person was like, no. He's like, so waking up in the morning's worth $10 million? And I was like, oh, I guess it is, like.
Yeah. There was a guy who I saw a short little video. He had a tattoo here on his arm. It said, money dies in the end. And I didn't really understand it, but he explains it, saying that, when you die, your money essentially dies with you. Like, yes, you can pass it on to your family or to charities or whatever you're going to do, but for the effective purpose of you, your money's dead. You can't use any more of it. So he was talking about how he had many friends who who made a lot of money and then died. And so all the money that they made wasted 100%. So it's you want to use your money as best as you can, but you also want to save it as best as you can. And it's a really tricky equation, because if you knew when you were going to die, you could figure out to the penny how much you could spend every day. But the thing is, you never know when you're going to die. So it's like, you want to use your money wisely, but you also want to save it wisely. And because if you accumulate a whole bunch of money and then you die, well, what happens to it? It's worthless for you. So I don't know. I'm still stuck with that puzzle. That one's still stumping me.
You know how I deal with that? I get in love with, I take money, like, I'm trying to make a metaphor, kind of like baking cookies, or, I just look at it like I'm always in the motion of it. Like, if I get this 300 grand, then I can put it in this house in Florida, and then I could Airbnb it, and maybe I'll get the right price, or maybe I won't, but at least I'm doing. Like, so to me, I just want to be doing. Like, as long as I learned that from Ben Maher, I learned that from real estate guys. Like, rich people, that's what people literally. I'm going to break down wealthiness right now in its core, because it's more that it's the act of constantly thinking of how to move the money, which most people don't want to do. So a middle class person, 300 grand, they only want 2 or 3 things to think about, and then they want to go to work. They don't want to have to. A rich person, 300 grand. Okay, I could take 50 of it, put it in a life insurance policy that can accumulate. I can grab interest. I could write interest, blah, blah, blah. Right. I could grab another 100 and put it in a down payment on a $250,000 studio, where I can collect, blah, blah, blah. I actually don't want to take all of the mortgage on that. I want to take more of a bank loan, because I want to write off the interest on that, which I can take off the money that I'm taking in from another building. Then I have 100 grand left. Boom. You know what I'm saying? And that's that's stressful. Like, to sit there and look at all the pieces of the parts of how you could move it around. And, a middle-class person kind of just wants to look at one thing, let someone do that for them. And I learned a wealthy person is always putting stress on themselves. It's almost like they have 5 gardening tools, and instead of the gardening tools just sitting there, they're like, all right, like, that gardening tool has to be used. Someone has to be using that. Like, the hose has to be on. How can I better this? How can I? And it becomes my friend said, it's now a game to you. You get to the level of life where you have enough money. It should be a game. Like, it should feel like you're playing a game. And, and he's like, that's the fun. My buddy, because he became a multimillionaire, and I always call him when I had no money, and I'd be like, what's it like? Like, and I would be like, I'm going to get there. Like, I know I'm going to get there. And like, as I raised up, and then I would call him, and he's like, oh, so now you're at this level now. He's like, he's making like 50 grand a day. So he's still like, oh, like, you're at this level now, you're at this level now. Mm-hmm. But he's always like, now this is the fun part. This is where you get to now go with what your mind wants and not just listen to your boss. Like, this is where you get to evolve as a person. Becoming financially free does so much for you as a person. If you had to go to the same job every day and listen to the same person every day, there's no way I would expand my brain as much. You get to go places, you get to see people, and your friends, like I say, that you meet are entrepreneurs. You're more likely to bump into someone who gets to golf on a Wednesday afternoon, and they all work really hard, but they make their schedule. And so now your friends are people who make their schedules, not people who have to be somewhere. When you work 9 to 5, most of your friends, because you're going to lunch, like, what do you want to go eat now? So you're associating with a lot of 9 to 5 people, which, you break out, you're now associating with entrepreneurs, people that are traveling. And then you realize, wow, there's hundreds of people out here that aren't doing the 9 to 5 like I thought everyone was doing. It changes your brain, because you're like, oh, And then for me, I was like, well, I kind of was like living half a life for all these years. What was I doing? Like, why did I keep going into that door with my head down? Was it the money? What was I telling myself? We create mental prisons. Like, why didn't I start my YouTube channel? 5 years before, like what you wonder what made you break out of prison then? You know, why you were still in that place for so long. I don't really have an answer. I guess God has a time for us all, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, I remember the first multimillionaire that I met was actually Alex Becker.
Oh yeah.
So go figure.
Yeah.
Go figure. I used to learn from him how to do SEO back in like early, I think it was 2010, 2011, something like that. And just by chance I ran into him in Dallas, Texas. And like I was awestruck. I was like, here's this dude, he's worth like 10 million. Oh my God. So of course I had to stop him in the street. I was like, dude, Becker. And he's like, how'd you know it was me? I was like, your tattoo. Give it away right there.
The 2 lines.
He has those like 2 lines right there. And clearly he didn't want to talk with me, but he was just being nice. And I was like, dude, so what's it like to be a multimillionaire? And he's like, the same as it was to be broke. And I was like, well, that answers that. I guess I'm done pursuing that. Yeah.
Over. I just wanted to be free. I hated money to me was stopping another human from having dominion over me. You know, I just was like, how can I achieve my goals if I have to go and do someone else's work every day? I got more and more depressed. And then I kept being like, you have one life. You have one life, Sam. I would go into the bathroom at work, splash the water on my face and be like, is this the day you're going to walk out of here? Like, when are you going to walk? I was walking out for 2 to 3 years. Like I was half in for literally years. Like that's like, it's almost like you're a ghost. Your body's walking in, but your spirit is like watching you walk in and you're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? But you know what? I didn't have the discipline. I didn't have the gall. I was in some depression. I was in some fog. I knew who I wanted to be. I had this fighting little voice inside, but I just couldn't seem to get, and I gave myself excuses and I use the word I can't, and I'm not going to be, you know, and whining and just, man, I look back on that, my past self, and I like bringing them up because when I bring that past self, it may help you bury that person right now. You may be trying to bury that person. And when you see someone like me and him doing our thing, and you're like, well, I was also depressed too. I was also powerless at one point in my life. And it is awesome when you meet people like that, right? I'm the same way. I want like, what's it like? I met Gary V in the street, you know, it was like 4 years ago. I'm walking down in New York City. I work right near Penn Station, and he just kind of walks by, and I'm like, and I let him walk by like just a couple feet. And I'm like, dude, that's like, it's Gary V. Like, he's always nice. Like, so I ran back up. Hey, can I get his picture? And I should have done like he probably would have let me do like an actual vlog on my, you know, but he let me, you know, we took a shot, and then I walked away. I was like, why didn't I try to do an interview? Why didn't I try to tell him that I'm in multimedia, like actually try to get a job at VaynerMedia or something? Like, and I was like, man, I was doing my own thing that day. That's a weird thing about me too. Like, I never groveled for nothing. Like you think I'll go up to him and be like, but I was like, my destiny. I'll bump into him again if I'm meant to, you know. It was weird, but yeah, you meet these people. I never really asked them like what it was like to be a millionaire, but it was inspiring. I mean, I was like, man, that dude walks around just like me. Like, he was on the same corner I was on. Like, you know, like, just because he's worth money, like, we walk by each other. We're on the same block. It's just funny. I met Stephon Marbury. He inspired me too. Really nice guy. My friend he dated my friend's like half sister. So we linked up with him when I was starting an internet company, and he was nice enough to let us follow him around with a camera. And we spent like a month with him, like every other day. And I got to be in his, you know, his Burberry, what is a fancy car? The Rolls Royce, you know, and like we're driving all around Manhattan, and it's like, wow. And, you know, he was insecure about losing his spot in basketball, and he was trying to make like another reality show to keep himself like, and I realized that no matter how much money you had, no matter how much fame you had, like, it's the energy you get at the moment. You know, Tom Brady doesn't want to retire. I saw him at the end of the game. Everyone's coming up to him like, he don't want us. He loves that. Next year when he retires, he's going to watch the end of a game. He's going to watch the quarterback slap at everybody. He's like, like the moment. People love that moment, you know, and to give up those moments of just complete, just, you know, like feeling like you're the man. And so celebrities get that. They don't want to give it up, you know, and that's why if you chase it, you end up empty over time, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, money and fame are nice, but if you're not enjoying your life, what's the point of it?
Yeah. Everyone, I just saw crypto love, man. We went over a lot. We went over possible bottoms, pi cycle ideas, how to change your mind, how to realize. One last thing I want to leave you all with was Ed Millett. I don't know if you've ever run into him online, but he had this thing that hit me hard because I was getting into excuses. Why did God do this to me? You know, how come I have to work a 9 to 5? Like, how come, my boss, why is this happening to me? And he said, man, you got to change what happened to me to what happened for me. He said, you got to start looking at every situation in life and getting something out of it every single time. There can't be one time you're negative because it's not going to serve you. You need to serve yourself. And he said, you got to start saying, why did this happen for me? So you break your arm, you can't pitch anymore. All right. But you read a book in the hospital about finances and then boom, right? That happened to that guy, Valuetainment, right? He was supposed to be, I guess, some big dude in sports or whatever, but he got hurt or not Valuetainment. Can't remember his name, but he does he interviews people like us that make it and try to get somewhere. Jim Cook and all those guys. And he blew his knee out. Ray, I'll find his name, but he blew his knee out. And because he blew his knee out, he was supposed to be a big time college guy, sports football dude. He got into finance and bettering his life. And now he does a valuetainment type of show on YouTube. You probably know him. I can't remember his Ross something or Ray. I've only seen a couple of stuff, whatever. But you get something taken away, you make something good out of it, period. Every single time. Why did this happen for me? Now, why did this happen to me? Why did my parents get divorced? All right. So maybe I become a great dad and not divorce my wife, right? Maybe I create a good home life. Whatever it is, there's something positive to be had. Why did I lose all this money? Well, maybe you weren't disciplined. Maybe you need to get educated.
That's brilliant advice.
Crypto love, man. You're the man. Everybody,
You too.
crypto love.